Crunch Time with Reed Becker. I'm your host, Reed Becker, and we have a couple things to do today. We have reaction to NFL Sunday with the Jets losing, and then some other big games that happened throughout the league on Sunday. And then we'll have something about Sam Bradford, who was linked to the Giants when the Cardinals cut him. I'll explain that a little later. And then something with basketball at the Lakers. But we have stuff to do, so let's get right into it. It's crunch time. So we'll start with the Jets locally. Jets lose to the Dolphins 13-6 in Miami. Darnold goes back to his USC college ways. Even in warm weather, he'll still struggle, throw 4 interceptions. The Jets are terrible. They can't score. They can't score. Both teams are terrible. If you went to a pickup, if you just did a scrimmage football game outside on the turf here, it would be more interesting than watching a Giants or Jets game so far this season, the way they've gone. But for the Jets, just listening to Todd Bowles just during the season, just throughout the year, like in postgame, or if you're like on 98.7 and ESPN, Michael K. show, they have him on, and the way he explains that he gets angry with his team, to me is hysterical. But I could just see like Jets fans' ears with smoke coming out their ears. It's sort of almost the way he says it makes it sound like he's like trying to hold back a laugh, but he's trying to explain that he's very angry. But that is going to cost Todd Bowles his job. Todd Bowles he's not communicating to the fan base, for the Jets fan base, that he's angry, which is going to cost him. And then just to be able, his play calls, management has been terrible. And Darnold was what I've been trying to explain to people for the past couple weeks. He is what he was at USC. Turnover prone, average maybe at best. That's what you got with the Jets. The Jets are done. But at this point, and about McCown, if you were going to put McCown in, it wouldn't make sense. I mean, I'm sure Todd Bowles wanted to put McCown in because he's fighting for his job at this point. He has to win games. But I'm sure he was told from management upstairs not to put him in because they want to see Darnold the quarterback. So it makes sense why they didn't keep him in, because also they're trying to get a good draft pick. So you got to keep them in and lose if you're the Jets. But so that was happening with the Jets locally. The game of the week in New Orleans, Saints-Rams. Rams won the 45-35. There was the huge Michael Thomas touchdown that sealed the game late in the fourth quarter. The Rams are going to be fine. It's only their first loss of the season. The Rams even made it interesting when they were down by a lot, and then they wound up coming back with 18 unanswered points in the second half. This will be a preview for the NFC Championship game. I'll say that for the Rams, the only way I think the Rams will have a real struggle with this against the Saints is if it goes back to New Orleans for the championship game, because being in that dome, with the way that the dome is and it's indoors, that noise can really get to you. And for like a young quarterback, for Jared Goff, that can really be a disadvantage, as it looked like it was this past Sunday. Although he did come back, but it looked like a disadvantage. And the defenses for both teams were awful. It was just a shootout of scoring like we expect. But the Rams defense specifically struggled completely. They just completely struggled, but I mean, the defense will recover next week and beyond. But in terms of just overall, that if they go back to New Orleans, they'll be toast. Plus, unless the only way they'll have a chance against New Orleans in the playoffs if they play each other will be if it goes back to Los Angeles, so they'll have home field. But their defense, they're going to have to get better against New Orleans' defense, at least a little bit. Then the final game I want to talk about for football was Packers and Patriots Sunday night. Now, Aaron Rodgers, we know, is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. He can't, as good as he is, Packers were driving down the field late in the third quarter, going into the fourth quarter. But of course, a young player for Green Bay fumbles the ball, God forbid, and then that fumble in the fourth quarter when the Packers were about to score a touchdown cost the Packers the game. That was a complete momentum changer. The momentum changed originally when the Packers got the stop on 4th and goal when Belichick decided to go for it at the goal line. But that completely switched the momentum to the Patriots. And then we know that they scored with Josh Gordon. But that was a killer for the Packers. The Packers look exactly like a young, inexperienced team because Aaron Rodgers has no one to throw to. As good as he is, as I said, he can move around, he can throw, he can have comebacks, but like if you have guys that can't even like hold onto a ball, even if it's just a handoff, and you fumble it, that will cost you a game like that, and that is exactly what happened with the Packers. And then I want to the discussion has been going on with who's been better overall, Rodgers or Brady. I think Tom Brady is overall better than Rodgers. I understand that that Aaron Rodgers can have huge, unbelievable comebacks. I'm aware of what he did week 1 against Chicago. But looking at what he's done compared to Brady, with Brady if you can bring in Joe Schmo off the street of Foxborough, and then he'll make him into a Pro Bowl player. But then Rodgers has been struggling, miscommunication with the younger, inexperienced players that they have. And so that's one reason why I think Brady's better overall. But also, Brady has more Super Bowls, which is an obvious reason. Brady has more Super Bowls than Rodgers. And then something that Brady did in the Super Bowl, which was unbelievable, was that coming back against Atlanta in the Super Bowl, which was an unbelievable comeback. And yeah, Brady has more Super Bowls. And the other thing that Brady's doing that is pretty amazing that we've really never seen from a quarterback ever before is the ability to 40 years old, still fresh as new, and he's been going to the Super Bowl year after year, which is something that is unexpected out of any sport, out of any football division you're in. Even if it's a weak one, which is what Brady is in, but still that's something that Rodgers hasn't done. It's something that we've never really ever seen before. And then you could say that Belichick makes him great, or just because, or maybe there's no pressure coming at him. I agree, if there is pressure coming at Brady, then he'll fold and he won't do as good. But Belichick, I think that Belichick, he does help make them better, but he's a defense guy, and you have a quarterback like Tom Brady who's for an offense that will make Tom Brady better overall, because Brady's the one on the offense, but Belichick with more of a defensive mind. One other thing for football. So during the past week, we saw that Sam Bradford was cut by Arizona. Complete waste of a signing by Arizona. Paid him way too much money. Barely played awful when he did. And it sounds like he didn't even practice when they were playing him. Not when he was playing him, but when they wasn't playing, he was practicing throughout the week's preparation for games. Sounds like he was barely even practicing because he was hurt, even though he wasn't on the injury report. But something that was mentioned that I don't think will happen. The Giants were linked to Sam Bradford maybe coming to the Giants. I can't see that happening. That would make no sense if it happened. Sam Bradford, an older quarterback, injury prone. I understand that Pat Shurmur got the best out of him in Minnesota, or just when he was as his coordinator. But the way the Giants are going right now, they don't need someone that's older and injury prone. They need because first of all, they need better offensive line help. If you don't have an offensive line help, as we've seen so far with Eli, I don't care if you bring in Dan Marino in his prime. Nothing. The offensive line will just collapse and he'll get taken down. But you need offensive line improvement, and then also you have Kyle Lauletta, who was drafted by Dave Gettleman. I understand he was arrested. He did apologize today in an emotional way, but you have to see what you have with him. I see that they're staying with Eli at quarterback Monday night in San Francisco, which I wholeheartedly disagree with. Eli is done, washed up. I've gone through this past couple weeks, but he's done, washed up. We know what he is, and if you're going to draft someone that late, you didn't take the quarterback at 2. You're going to take one if you take him at quarterback later on, and you at least behind closed doors, you should understand that your season is done. But you have to see what Lauletta has, because that was a draft pick that was, as of right now, because they have no future plan at quarterback, what they're looking at as their future quarterback, because Tanny will be gone in a snap like that after the season. And then the last thing. The Lakers, so past week, the Lakers, Adrian Wojnarowski, ESPN, came out saying that Magic Johnson basically put pressure on Luke Walton to win now, which is a complete turn from what he said before the season, that they were going it was going to be a process and they were going to take it one step at a time. But this is where I'm going to bring in Reed's rant. Here we go. Now, as I said, I literally just said he completely switched from what he said before the season, that it won't be a right-away process. But the problem is, and I understand that he did an interview with the LA Times a couple days ago and denied it, but he also danced around it, because he also said that he did meet with him and Walton took it as a man. Well, what was it that he took? What you said, it wasn't he was going to be fired. He wouldn't be fired, but what did he take? Dancing around. It's not completely denied, so it's a little interesting. But here's my point. The roster that the Lakers have right now is god-awful. It is the remains from Cleveland that LeBron had. Magic Johnson, you're gonna put blame on Luke Walton. Well, what do you want Luke Walton to do? Is Luke Walton the one that's falling asleep on defense late in the games, or is that LeBron James? Or is he the one is Luke Walton missing key free throws late in the games, or is that also LeBron? Is Luke Walton even just the one that's communicating on the court on defense, or just moving when they're on offense, which has looked pathetic? So you start adding it up, Magic Johnson. It's not Luke Walton's fault, because I'll tell you this right now. You can bring in any coach right now. You can bring in Ty Lue. You can bring in Rick Carlisle from Dallas. I don't care, but I'll tell you this. Whoever you would bring in for Luke Walton right now, because with this roster right now currently stated with the Lakers, they would not get past. They would not even get a chance versus the Warriors, because the roster is too young and too inexperienced, and there's nothing you can ask a coach to do when your roster's that young and god-awful. The communication's awful. Any coach you can bring in right now, and the result would be the exact same. Terrible, blowing leads, close games, almost losing at home to a bad team. And then even maybe like in the game against Toronto without Kawhi Leonard, that's where I prove I'm trying to that's where example of where that doesn't lie on Luke Walton, but it lies on the players as a whole. And then the only way the Lakers will have a chance maybe this season would be Magic Johnson has to pick up the telephone and he has to make some trades. The roster, as I said, was terrible. And then the other thing is, I don't even think that they're even going to get free agents to come, stars to play with LeBron right now, because if you look at what's going on with Kawhi, the message from his camp basically is starting to shift to the across the hallway at Staples Center to the Clippers. So I don't think Kawhi's coming to the Lakers right now in free agency. And the Lakers basically they just screwed LeBron over, if you want to say. They had a chance to get Paul George in a trade with Indiana, but then that didn't happen. Okay, they had a chance. Then they thought maybe they'll get him in free agency. That didn't happen, and then you had Paul George basically say he would have gone to the Lakers only if they traded for him. So the Lakers, the only way they'll even have a chance for now to compete in the playoffs and for the future, you could even say, they need to trade for someone now. You can't rely on to just try to think, oh, you'll just get someone to come to the Staples Center, to the Lakers, because it's LA, because of the weather year round, because look at what happened with Paul George. They got bit on the back just because of what they just assumed would happen. But that didn't happen. So that's all I have, but it's not Luke Walton's fault for a bad roster that was given to him by Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson has to make some moves. But that's all I have for you today. I'm your host, Reed Becker, and that's it. We'll see you next week.